guys want to see Wes Craven flex his that is exactly what he did. Wes Craven made his triumphant return on Nightmare on Elm Street 3: The Dream Warriors. However, this has a pretty interesting backstory on how this film was finally put into production. Before the final script was finalized, John Saxon and Robert Englund himself had pitched 2 script ideas about how to make Nightmare 3. John Saxon wanted a prequel movie explaining Freddy's backstory and the events leading up to Nightmare 1. Robert Englund's idea, I think, stands out the most because his idea was take it back to the original and have Tina Gray's character from the first film, her sister, which was away at college, come back to Springwood and have to deal with Freddy. I would have loved to see that movie. However, Wes Craven would finally come back and godfather the project. Although he didn't direct this movie, he did the screenplay, the writing, and producing of this film. Wes Craven's intentions on this movie was to end the franchise. Even though Nightmare 2 had made plenty of box office money, critically it was in the negative. So that's why I think this is a very interesting take of a story which builds into Nightmare 3. Nightmare 3 features the return of Nancy, my sweet Nancy, Robert Englund as Freddy, and we get a brand new group of teenagers that Freddy's gonna go after. However, what makes this one so different, of course you've probably seen the film, but if you haven't, here's a brief summary. Nancy Thompson is now working at Weston Hills because there has been a string of suicides along teenagers. Of course, it all ties into Freddy's and their nightmares and Freddy's killing off his victims through his dream realm. This film spawned some of the most favorable characters in the franchise, such as Kristen Parker, Kincaid, Joey, Philip, and again it brings back Nancy, her father Donald, all of this in a new journey, which spawned this very good sequel not only box office wise, but critically wise as well. A lot of people I personally know hold this in high regard of their ranking of the Nightmare films. About 85% of them rank this as number 1. And to that extent, it is not my number 1, but this is a solid fucking Nightmare film. But you're not here about a review. Let's get down to these fucking kills. Alright, my number 1 favorite kill of this phenomenal movie is Philip's death. The practical effects on this is just out of this world. But even kind of the build up too. Freddy manifesting himself from that fucking puppet on the wall and then growing into his actual form. For one, that's just fucking badass. But this kill right here, man, every time I see this, I cringe. And I don't mean that as I cringe in a bad way. I'm talking about I fucking cringe like, man, I would not want that to happen to me. Philip is stuck in bed. Freddy slices his fucking arms, slices his fucking legs, pulls his fucking veins out, and is puppeteering this motherfucker like it's a hot Friday night at Mardi Gras. You have Joey running down this hallway, beating the fuck out of the doors with a lunch tray because he's trying to wake people up, trying to get people to help. And then once he's at the tip top of the window, you just see Freddy in the sky, this fucking puppeteering, having a good time. And then that slash and then the laugh, man, top fucking notch right there. Favorite fucking death of this movie. Alright, coming in on my number 2 pick is probably the most iconic line of the franchise. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Although this isn't my favorite kill of the movie, it's still very iconic and it's still very pleasing to watch. One particular thing I love about this kill is how Freddy always takes it a step further. Jennifer is sitting there watching a TV show, like this late night talk show, and she's dozing off trying to keep herself awake. And Freddy just spawns himself from that goddamn TV and he's like,
who gives a fuck what you think?
Little things like that is why I fucking love Freddy Krueger. He really does it to entertain himself, and I fucking love that. And Freddy was right, she got her big break in television. Coming in my number 3, you can probably guess which one this is. It's Taryn's death. Another one of my favorite Freddy moments as well. Instead of the classic gloves, you already know by now, he has the fucking syringe gloves, the syringe fingers. Playing off the trope that Taryn was a previous junkie. And again, the practical effect on this is fucking badass as well. Because you see the little mouth spawn in Taryn's arms and they're just like fucking doing that Evil Dead shit, like give me some, give me some. And then Freddy's like,
what a rush.
However, the continuity error in this has always bugged me. A lot of people don't notice this, but these are 2 separate shots spliced together, and I'll show them right here. It's not that big of a deal. If you can see right here, Freddy's looking directly at her, and his body stance is different. And then it cuts to him in his dead man phase, The Undertaker. Still a badass scene for sure. And I know this is nitpicking, but you have to do better. Alright, coming into my number 4 is Donald's death. It was great to see John Saxon back in the franchise. I've always loved his character, even in the first one. He just plays that star-studded badass dad, you know? He's like the image of what a fucking man was back in the 70s and 80s. But the light has kind of left his eyes in this film naturally. He is a recluse now, he's a drunk. Does not have his shit together. But however, he does entertain the idea of trying to help Nancy and Dr. Gordon. And I bet he was freaked the fuck out when this fucking skeleton came to life and stabbed him with the fucking glove. And when I first saw this kill, I was really flabbergasted because I was like, you did not just kill Nancy's dad off. But they did. The build up is very quick. The junkyard starts coming to life, fucking wheels are turning, alarms are going off, headlights are coming on, fucking cars are falling. Donald has an epiphany to himself and he has a badass line. He's like, I killed you once, you son of a bitch. And then he picks something up, but he just fucking face planted. I don't mean that literally, like he had no offense in this. He swung once, missed, swung again, got stabbed in the side, got thrown across the fucking junkyard and got impaled and he was gone. He was dead. Game over. Snake. Wasted. Bye-bye. The build-up scene in this was very awesome. But I've never liked the fact that there wasn't an actual battle between Donald and Skeleton Freddy. And it didn't have to be a final boss kind of fight either. I'm just talking about at least let Donald get some offense in. Make his death mean something. But maybe that's what Wes was going for. Maybe Donald was just way too gone to actually contribute to the cause anyway. But me personally, I would like to see his death actually mean something. And that's why his death is so low on my list, because he was just kind of like, good build up, and then he's gone. Okay, my number 5. My fucking number 5 pick. I hate this death. I hate it with a passion. And yes, this is Nancy's death. I had to watch my sweet Nancy die, and it's just fucking heartbreaking. I'm like, fuck! However, it was clever. When I first watched this as a kid, I didn't see this coming either. Because when I watched this as a kid, we had just seen Donald die, right? Just in an instant. I'm like, what the fuck? And I guess I didn't have time to recover from that, because then you see his soul in the dream realm. And I don't think most of the general audience probably knew that. They probably suspected it now. But again, the first time I watched this, I was like maybe 8 or 9, 10 years old. You know, I wasn't thinking at full capacity back then. Being a horror fan, watching movies day in and day out, you just develop that sense of what's about to happen. Back then, I didn't have that. And her death was kind of brutal too. Because, I mean, it's just a simple stab to the stomach. But once he says die, I mean, he's just fucking digging around in there. Not in the way he should be. I'm kidding. But yeah, R.I.P. my sweet Nancy. At least I get you one more time as Heather in The New Nightmare. You know, I can still say, hey, my girl's still there. Coming in at my number 6, my least favorite kill of this movie is Will's death. This movie introduced a concept of like, these dream warriors can manifest powers in the dream realm. And the concept is really cool. And I'm not gonna say that they didn't execute it right, because I think they did. Every respective character, I think, has their own unique style and unique power that works well with their character. I think it fits the film, fits their character, and I think it contributes to why this movie was such a success like it is. However, I have a really big pro and a really big con about this. This scene started off cool. Freddy introducing that fucking wheelchair that almost kills Will from the get-go, and then he transforms into that wizard-like state, and he's like, in the name of Prince of Elves and all that. That's where it got kind of corny for me. I'm just being honest with you. And I'm not saying I don't like nerdy stuff, because I'm kind of a nerd myself. Again, if you can see, if you look around, I'm an avid horror fanatic. I'm legit a horror addict. I collect shit and I make shit. I like D&D. I like anime. I like Dragon Ball Z, shit like that. You can put me in the nerd category and it doesn't hurt my feelings. However, this segment, once it got there versus how all the other things in the film was going, this particular sequence to me is just fucking cheesy. My pro about this is that Freddy shut this shit down. He's like, hey kid, I don't fucking believe in fairy tales. Take your fucking Harry Potter ass and take my fucking glove, let me eat your fucking soul, and let me fucking laugh at you for the rest of eternity. That scene alone is just, it does not do it for me. But there you have it, guys. I have ranked all 6 deaths in this movie from my favorite to my least favorite. Now let's talk about Freddy's death for one quick second. I think the holy water was a nice touch. As much as I hate Nancy's death in this film, it is really redeemable because she stays alive just long enough to save Kristen. She hops on Freddy's back, grabs the glove, stabs him with it, and Dr. Gordon is able to splash that fucking vodka holy water at him. And that was the nail in the coffin for Freddy. I am glad that Nancy did get that one last one-up on Freddy and was able to save some of these kids. I think the reason this movie is so successful is not only bringing Nancy back to kind of godfather all these children who have to deal with Freddy, but you really care about these characters. I think the film has excellent pacing. I think this film gives each of these characters just enough screen time. It doesn't overdo it, it doesn't underdo it. And I was glad that some of these survived. I was glad to see Kincaid survive, Kristen, Joey. I really don't give a fuck about Dr. Gordon, honestly. But when I watched this movie as a kid and even now, I really grew to love these characters and I was so happy to see them survive. But on the flip side of that, in Nightmare 4, you just kind of fucking diminished everything you stand for, killing these motherfuckers off within the first 20-30 minutes of the movie. I'm just like, dude, what the... But that's probably just a tangent I'm gonna go on in the Nightmare 4 kill ranking. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. I love all you guys. Until next time, I'll see you in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master kill ranking. Adios.